Didn't expect you'd still be scrolling at this hour. I thought I was already completely forgotten. Today, I'm guessing your left foot's resting on your right one, and your phone battery's sitting around 70%. If I guessed right, make some noise in the comments. If I'm wrong, just pretend I didn't say it. Alright, enough small talk. Let's get straight into tonight's bedtime story. Meet Nai from Korea, our lovely camper for today. She's the type who never goes out when the weather's nice. But finally, she's been blessed with a full-on snowstorm. The branches glistened with crystal-like snowflakes, and the ground was buried under a thick white blanket. Before she could camp, she had to clear a one-room space. When it comes to shoveling snow, Nai's definitely got skills. One scoop, one throw, and she'd cleared out a wide enough area. After all, she's used to snowstorms like these in her tropical blizzard zone. So wild weather like this feels almost routine. In such extreme conditions, a tent becomes even more crucial. Just as she started setting up, the snow began to fall again. Luckily, it started off gentle, so she had plenty of time to piece things together. But as time passed, the snowfall got heavier and heavier. To make things worse, her tent weighed nearly 40 kilograms. Not easy to lift even on a calm day. Now fighting through wind and snow, the whole setup became a next-level challenge. Still, despite the harsh weather, she swapped out the windows for clear panels, because being outdoors is about opening up your heart and feeling the joy of letting go. But she didn't expect the howling wind and snow to quickly cover the whole tent in white. Thankfully, the frame she built was solid. That meant she could finally step inside and start the interior setup. When it comes to recording gear, Nai lives by one rule. You might not always use it, but you should never go without it, which is why she always brings her whole house along. After a tough house-moving kind of setup, Nai finally wrapped up her work. Her one-room camping layout was finally done. Time flew by while she was busy working. The world outside, covered in white, had its own quiet charm. In weather like this, nothing warms you up better than eating something sweet. This time she chose honey biscuits as her snack. Sweet honey soaked into the soft cookies perfectly. To make the cozy vibe even better, she brewed herself a steaming cup of coffee and dropped in a few fluffy marshmallows, as if to soothe away the day's exhaustion. Truth is, she hadn't had a proper meal since morning. The plan was to enjoy a big dinner once camp was all set up. But today's blizzard drained so much of her energy, she decided to make a little appetizer first. Once that quick bite was done, it was time to prep for tonight's main meal. For Nai, a good meal just isn't complete without meat, especially in cold weather like this. Fried food is the ultimate comfort, as the oil sizzled and bubbled in the pan. She fried each piece until golden brown, then coated them with a tangy sweet sauce to give the flavour an extra kick. And of course, before digging in, a glass of chilled wheat juice was a must. After devouring the meal in no time, she suddenly realised she'd forgotten to install the fireplace. And honestly, staying warm in weather like this is absolutely essential. Luckily, she'd already brought all the gear inside the tent, so it only took a quick setup to get it done. But if you think she did that just to keep warm, you couldn't be more wrong. Anyone who watches Nai's camping videos knows, for someone who eats 8 times a day and treats it as a sacred ritual, nothing she does is ever random. The real reason she waited this long was to bake a fresh pizza in that fireplace. As the fire grew hotter, the dough began to rise beautifully in the heat. Maybe the flame was a little too strong, because the crust came out slightly burned, but that didn't bother her one bit. After all, food you make yourself always tastes better. Then, she smoothly poured herself a glass of wheat juice, paired it with the freshly baked pizza, and called it the perfect ending to a busy day. So you've managed to catch me at this hour. I honestly thought I was about to fade away again. Tonight, I won't bother guessing where your left foot is resting. Same old rule if you see this, drop a comment. Or maybe leave a few words on the right with your reaction. Alright. Enough rambling. Let's jump straight into tonight's stress-relieving bedtime skit. The story begins. A customized camper van slowly rolled forward, driving onto a flat stretch of land. In front of us was an old friend we hadn't seen in a while, Shizuka, a 30-year-old independent woman from Japan. Today, she drove a 3-square-meter light truck she'd converted for camping. The highlight of this vehicle was none other than its windows. Windows everywhere. Though the space wasn't big enough for reckless freedom, luckily she was a master of time management. Every piece of gear was purchased to fit and adjust with precision. Though small, the space had everything it needed to chase the best camping experience. Shizuka specifically picked up discounted items from the convenience store. With winter arriving, temperatures kept dropping. Before her picnic, she had to light the indoor fireplace, not only to keep warm later, but also to cook food. And because the camper space was compact, it only needed to burn briefly before the warmth was felt. This meant Shizuka dressed lightly, wouldn't feel the chill. After that, she placed a pizza into the fireplace's bottom drawer to bake. Baking away. After 10 minutes of cooking, she could finally enjoy today's appetizer, easing the mood. For those who often watch the Delicate Girl camping series, Shizuka's style of camping may not be as fancy as Xiaomei, but her way of camping shows the truest everyday experience. So everyone's camping style has its own unique flavor. While Talking the Sky had already started to darken, the light spilling from the camper stood out, strikingly against the quiet night. And since Shizuka had no plans, for entertainment she began preparing dinner. As she's been dieting lately, wanting to surprise her family before New Year, her meals in this period focused mainly on low-fat dishes. Tonight's food wasn't going to take long. She first made a veggie salad with avocado and cherry tomatoes, then put the prepped chicken into the pan. After all, chicken has far less fat than pork. This way, Shizuka could enjoy it without feeling guilty. And the cooking process was very simple. Just keep stir-frying until the chicken was evenly heated and add some seasoning along the way. But what Shizuka loved most was still her fondness for rice. She always liked to press the rice into triangular onigiri, then wrap it with cling film. Only once everything was ready would she finally start eating. Maybe it's because she's a true blue Japanese girl, but after a meal, she always fancies a glass of wheat juice to soothe her throat. It feels like only then can the dinner come to a perfect close. Still, unlike Xiaomei, she doesn't chase the buzz of being tipsy, just the occasional small sip. Even so, when it comes to being careless, Shizuka is just the same as Xiaomei. So you've managed to catch me at this hour. I honestly thought I was about to fade away again. Tonight, I'll guess your left foot is resting on your right shoulder. If I'm wrong, then please place it on your left shoulder instead. Same old rule if you see this make a sound, or leave a few bot-like comments on the right. Let me know I haven't completely faded away. All right, enough rambling. Let's get straight into tonight's bedtime story. Here's our familiar old friend, Miss Nana, the elegant girl from Korea. She always loves to go camping on rainy days, and today just so happened to be perfect. The sky drizzled lightly, making her enjoy the moment even more. The very first step was setting up the tent. In the last episode, Nana was forced to learn sliding in the snow to avoid repeating the same mistakes. This time she was calmer and chose a tent much larger than before. The setup was far simpler, needing only an air pump to inflate the frame, then nails to secure the corners from blowing away. Friends who watch Nana know she loves camping in storms. Although the sky was clouded over today, compared to her past adventures, this was nothing. The reason she came camping today was Christmas. To celebrate, Nana had started preparing days in advance. She brought all sorts of festive props from home and laid them out neatly, creating a rich Christmas theme. She even swapped the usual lights for snowman-shaped decorations. At the same time, she prepared a special Christmas outfit for her dog. You could feel the endless love she had for it. Once the tent's atmosphere was set, the next focus was enjoying the picnic. From the fresh greens she pulled out, it was clear she was planning a light fasting-style meal, or perhaps just some simple veggies to warm the stomach first. You could tell from Nana's face, she wasn't too keen on eating grass. By the time the appetizers were over, night had already fallen. Raindrops tapped against the tent outside, making a crisp sound. The dog snuggled up inside the tent, enjoying the cozy warmth. The light drizzle took away any desire he had to go out for a wander. After all the last time his ex-wife came back from a trip with Oko, the camp nearly went up in smoke. So this time he planned to get creative, finding some quirky fun with food. First, he cut marshmallows into small bits with scissors, then sprinkled them evenly between biscuits. On top, he added some odd cartoon cookies. Got to admit, Nana had a real knack for food ideas. Then he used a blowtorch to caramelize the marshmallows and press them into a plastic pine tree mold. Not sure if doing this would bring out a pine scent, but it definitely had a kind of trouble for fun charm. After a few rounds of snacks, the lights outside had brightened up, signaling that night had well and truly begun. Maybe because he digested too quickly, he started feeling a bit peckish. So he grabbed a piece of plain bread, cut a neat round hole in the middle with a small knife, sprayed the pan with a layer of cooking oil, and fried the bread until it turned lightly golden. He also cooked up a bowl of spaghetti. Though its appearance was a bit odd, from Nana's focused expression, you could sense it was going somewhere. With a warm midnight snack settling nicely, the Santa Claus snow globe softly shimmered with light. After tidying up the bed, he wrapped up the day with his dog. So you've actually come across me at this hour. I thought I was about to fade into obscurity again. Tonight I won't bother guessing where your left foot's resting. I heard the comment system's been updated to version 5.5. Now you just need to hold down, slide to an emoji, and you can send it quickly. So instead, I'll guess whether there are any bots in my comment section. Alright, enough with the chatter. Let's jump straight into tonight's bedtime story. In a sunlit forest, a girl carrying camping gear walked along a woodland path. She is the star of this camping series, Ruru. On her way, she found the scenery stunning, with green trees all around, forming a natural shady spot, the perfect place to pitch a tent. Though the campsite she chose was right on top of a wooden bridge. Luckily, it was along a closed-off road, so ordinary people would never come here. And Ruru always preferred places, rarely visited by others, savouring that undisturbed peace. With her wealth of camping experience, in less than half an hour, her triangular tent stood firmly in place. The tent's footprint perfectly covered the bridge deck, surrounded by lush green forest, a truly perfect campsite. With all the camping gear set up, Ruru's picnic adventure officially began. While most girls were still bringing along convenient snacks, Ruru had even carried cooking oil from home. She poured half a bottle into the pan, then dropped in some half-prepped rice cakes. Once fried to a golden crisp, they were ready to eat. From her expression, it was clear the taste wouldn't disappoint. After finishing the appetizer, she moved on to the main dish. She swapped in a flat pan, once again pouring in some oil. When the oil spread evenly across the base, she placed a fresh steak into the pan. The moment the beef touched the hot oil, it sizzled loudly. Soon the steak's surface turned slightly golden. After some cooking time, it was cooked to a tender medium rare. Then Ruru picked up her knife to cut it, the blade slicing perfectly, revealing the juicy texture inside. That's why people say Ruru lives a refined life. After her meal, she even prepared some fruit. As time quietly slipped by, it was already afternoon, and she was ready to enjoy a refreshing nap. So you've actually come across me at this hour. I thought I was about to fade into obscurity again. Tonight, I won't bother guessing where your left foot's resting. I heard the comment systems had yet another big update. Now you just need to hold down, slide to an emoji, and you can send it quickly. So instead, I'll guess whether there are any bots in my comment section. Alright, enough chatter. Let's get straight into tonight's bedtime story. Here we see Xiao Mei, a girl from Japan. Today marks her first camping trip of the new year. In Japan, the new year begins on the 1st of January. Still caught up in the joy of recent celebrations, she came to the forest to relive the warmth of camping. Since her beloved car was being serviced, the shop provided her with a temporary ride. Though spacious inside, it lacked a sense of warmth. So she decided to spend the night in a tent instead. And the most important thing in winter camping is keeping warm. In this scene, Xiao Mei's strength looked just like you ripping open a package. If anyone thinks girls aren't strong, they should try unboxing a parcel themselves. Brains are handy, but sometimes brawn wins out. After some rough tearing, she got herself a quilt. Judging by the tent's weight, its space was clearly not too small. At first, Xiao Mei thought of trying the manual pump, a chance to train her arms too. But at her pace, it might not be done even by nightfall. And for young people, appearances matter. Style counts. In the end, she found an electric pump. All she had to do was plug it into the valve and wait as it quietly inflated a one-room tent. although there were a few ups and downs along the way. In the end, she still managed to set it up successfully. To prevent it from being blown away by the cold wind, she reinforced the surroundings with iron stakes. Next came the stage of setting up the interior gear. Naturally, as a refined girl, Xiao Mei was never going to treat herself poorly. The 2-meter bed before her was big enough for her to roll around carefree. As she neatly arranged her tools, little by little, the small space filled with the warmth of home. After a tiring day, it was finally time to enjoy the fun of camping. For someone fond of wheat juice like her, the first task was to find that pleasantly tipsy feeling. But compared to drinking it plain, something felt missing. Just then, the fully heated kerosene stove came in handy. She prepared a few grilled sausages to go with it. This time, Xiao Mei's camping was undoubtedly a brand new experience. After all, most of her past trips were limited to RVs, which always lacked the freshness that tents bring. Maybe this experience would become a turning point for her. Before long, an array of delicious food was ready. Then Xiao Mei pulled out her tablet, launching Netflix as the perfect mealtime companion, and began her appetizer session for the day. After a few hours of binge-watching, the sky outside was already blanketed with heavy clouds. As night fell, the evening glow in the sky became even more enchanting. The golden light gradually shifted to shades of purple and blue. At the same time, Xiao Mei slowly snapped out of her drama-induced daze. Half a day of streaming had left her parched. That's when the wheat juice came in handy. With a cup of her own freshly mixed drink, she officially kicked off the evening picnic. Perhaps hours of staring at the screen had made her forget her hunger. Now she made some simple dishes to fill her stomach. But as expected, heating up frozen food took quite a while. To make sure it was evenly done, she had to keep stirring to prevent burning. Along the way, she tossed in some fresh vegetables. And just like that, a simple yet balanced dinner was ready. It has to be said, just watching Xiao Mei eat is a pleasure in itself. But unlike usual, this time she dined inside the tent. The car might have had a cozy atmosphere, but the tent's setting made everything feel closer to nature. More interestingly, the soft light spilled across her face, and you could see a gentle blush rise on her cheeks. Alright, that's where this video ends. See you in the next one. So you've actually come across me at this hour. I thought I was about to fade into obscurity. Tonight I won't bother guessing where your left foot's resting. As usual, if you see this, drop a quick hello, or leave a comment on the right. Alright, enough rambling. Let's dive into tonight's bedtime story. Slowly approaching before us was Lena, who loves seeking fortune in the wild. At this moment, she was walking deep into the Freljord forest. It happened to be the first blizzard of the year's end, and coming from the south, Lena was utterly captivated. But as she stepped into the extreme cold, she urgently needed a proper shelter. The thick snow on the ground had already reached her ankles. As Lena ventured further, she spotted a stone cave ahead. As expected, this would be her refuge for the night. Since Lena had always loved outdoor adventures, this cave fit her interests perfectly. When she swept her torch across the cave floor, she realized it wasn't an ordinary cave. The walls inside bore signs of human excavation. On the front wall hung an old kerosene lamp, and there were even some misplaced butterfly specimens. But even though the cave showed no obvious dangers, Lena still felt a little uneasy inside. Yet thinking of the endless blizzard outside, she resolutely chose to settle in. Because the cave lacked enough oxygen to sustain long breathing, she had to place silver coins at the entrance for airflow. Once settled, she organized her heating equipment. Since Lena's backpack was fairly small, all she'd brought was a small fireplace. Luckily, the surrounding rocks could provide a certain degree of shielding. The next step was to quickly find enough fuel to make it safely through the freezing night. The forest was full of all sorts of twigs and branches. Once broken apart, they became a steady source of fuel. Lena then brought back the old kerosene lamp that had long been stored in the cave. Though time had corroded it beyond use, she fortunately carried a few candles with her. By placing them inside the lamp cover, it served as a container. As time passed, the sky gradually darkened. She lit the prepared twigs, watching the faint glow turn bright. The chill around her eased with the warmth. Then with her cup, she scooped up a spoonful of crystal clear snow. One advantage of camping in such extreme cold was the endless supply of water. She simply placed it on the fireplace to melt. After a quick filtering, she had fresh, natural drinking water. Once her body warmed up, she began her picnic for the day. Even in the midst of the stormy snow, her love for good food never faded. From the thick-cut steak she pulled out, it was clear, no matter how harsh the conditions, they couldn't stop a true foodie's heart. After finishing her meal, she turned her attention to sorting out tonight's lodging. The conditions outside were clearly unfit for staying overnight, so she had no choice but to settle in the shelter and find a place to rest. Fortunately, the inside had already been thoroughly cleared out by others, so with just a little tidying up, she could stay there for now. From her past experiences of seeking fortune outdoors, even when faced with run-down shabby houses, her mindset had always remained calm. But in this bunker, she couldn't help but show a look of strong distaste. Once everything was in order, she lay down early to rest. "So you've actually come across me at this hour." I thought I was about to fade into obscurity again. "Tonight, I won't bother guessing where your left foot's resting. As always, if you see this, give me a shout. Or drop a few words in the comments on the right. Alright, enough small talk. Let's get straight into tonight's bedtime story. Approaching before us is Mina, a girl from Korea, who loves chasing snow for camping. Right now, she's walking deep into the snowy mountains. It happened to be the first heavy snowfall of the year's end, and Mina, who insists she won't camp without snow, was thrilled. But this trip was more of a sudden whim. Without strong arms to help, the tent felt like it weighed 1,000 kilos. Still, she knew the order of assembly by heart, and soon had the tent securely set up. As night quietly descended, the temperature dropped sharply atop the snowy peak. She needed to prepare her heating measures in advance. First, she set up a 2-meter-long inflatable bed. From the look on her face, her pride was easy to see. Then she neatly arranged all her tools. Camping styles in Japan and Korea couldn't be more different. Korean campers often turn their small space into a one-bed flat, while Japanese campers focus on minimalism, satisfying only the basic needs. Perhaps this is the difference in how the two cultures view camping. Soon Mina had set up her fireplace. Because of the heavy snow falling outside, the tent roof still carried traces of melted water. So before settling in, she had to clean it up. Then it was finally time for today's picnic. To celebrate her first camping success, she brought along what's jokingly called a man's petrol station and a woman's beauty salon. A whole box full of oysters. Such high-end ingredients only need the simplest cooking. Just add clean water to the pot, place the oysters inside, and steam them over the fireplace. Of course, one dish alone couldn't satisfy her taste buds, so she cooked up some Odin to pass the time. Anyone who often skips meals knows that in the face of high-end ingredients, you'll always crave a hot drink. So Mina brought along a box of wheat juice, even pouring out a whole pot of it. Then using the fireplace, she heated it up. In a freezing place like this, a steaming hot drink with your meal is the greatest respect you can give to the food. After she devoured the rest of her food like a hungry wolf, the heavy snowfall outside had already stopped. Taking the chance, Mina went out to clear the snow off her tent and greeted her viewers watching from the screen. Then she returned inside, enjoying the rare moment of comfort. Since she was in such a remote location, she decided to just spend the night in the tent. As the next morning arrived, the air was filled with a sharp chill. An icy frost covered the surface of the tent. Waking up early, Mina prepared to make breakfast. Maybe she'd had too much wheat juice last night, so she simply made a few small steamed buns. "So you've actually come across me at this hour. I thought I was about to fade away again. Tonight, I won't bother guessing where your left foot's resting. Word is, the comment bot's just got another 10th century update. Now you just hold down swipe to the emoji, and you can send it straight away. So I'll just guess. Are there bots in my comments? Alright, enough chit-chat. Let's jump into tonight's bedtime story. Before us once again is our familiar old friend, Nana, a camper from Korea. This time to put a perfect full stop. On the end of the year, she's come to the forests of Freljord to carry out her long-planned camping trip. Thanks to this pitch-black spot she found, she cleared out the snow around with precision and mapped out her own little one-bedroom space. Ever since, the first time she used a round tent earlier in the season, Nana has been hooked and can't let it go. Since then, she's taken one along every trip. Maybe it's because a round tent offers a much broader view, making it convenient, both to set up and to pack away. Before long, she'd already got it standing firm. Compared to traditional square tents, the round design's interior space truly feels like a flat of its own. To enjoy camping to the fullest, Nana replaced all the windows with clear plastic sheets. The 3 central windows were like floor-to-ceiling glass. For a detail-loving girl like Nana, the size of the space didn't matter. Even the tiniest sparrow-sized furniture had to look plentiful and refined. Her motto has always been, you might not use it, but you can't go without it. As Nana kept arranging her things, it almost felt like she was moving her whole home outdoors. After a good while of busy work, she finally had it all sorted. Nana then sat to the side previewing TV programs, even switching it to a video of a fireplace burning. A bit of self-deception, like fooling herself with comfort. After soaking in that cozy illusion, she began preparing today's lunch, sticking to her quirky motto of eat well in the morning, eat well at noon, eat well at night. She made sure that before evening came, her taste buds would be fully satisfied. That made her lunch choice all the more important. The whole process for Nana was like conducting some kind of energy experiment. She tossed all sorts of spices into the pot first, then dumped in skewers of every shape and size. Once the broth had soaked into each skewer, Nana pulled out a bottle of wheat juice to kick off her picnic life. The sky had been clear at first, but as Nana went about her day, night slowly fell. Winter days are always short and fleeting. With not many outdoor activities available after eating, she could only choose some simple ways to pass the time. Luckily today she had brought a TV. An hour-long video was just enough to get through this quiet night. Before she knew it, the night had deepened. Bored Nana decided to make some dinner. But since she'd had such a full lunch, she wasn't feeling hungry yet. So she decided to make a pizza as a late-night snack. With all her well-prepared tools, whatever food she fancied was easy to whip up. She only had to wait a moment before it was ready. Though it looked a bit too simple on the surface, Nana's satisfied expression made it clear. It tasted pretty good. After wolfing it down, she got ready to lie down early and rest to welcome the arrival of a new day. Since you happened to come across me at this time, it means I still have a bit of presence. Today I won't guess whose foot your left foot is resting on. Here, I wish every friend a new year where all your wishes come true. Of course, I also hope you'll take the time to check out Kiki's videos. As usual, if you see this, drop a hello, or leave a few comments on the right. All right, that's enough of the intro. Now let's move into tonight's bedtime story. Before our eyes is a familiar old friend, Xiang, a 19-year-old girl from Britain. Today she's brought her dog to Freljord Forest, hoping to experience the blessing of a natural waterfall. But the rocks all around were covered in slippery moss, making each step a struggle. After a long and difficult trek, she finally found a prime spot. The spacious clearing before her was perfect for pitching a tent. First things first, she had to clear away the stubborn weeds around it. You could see Xiang actually enjoyed pulling weeds, even though the place looked almost the same after as before. Then came the moment to set up the tent. Those who often watch Xiang's camping know well that she always has her own quirky style. Since Xiang is on the slim side, she always opts for a tent that fits just right. But even though this one was a meter high, she still found herself a little conflicted while setting it up. After a bit of hard work, the tent was finally set up. To keep the mozzies at bay, she laid down blankets inside. As we mentioned earlier, her main reason for coming here was to experience the waterfall's blessing. So she changed into swimwear and headed to the spring with her dog. From the source, you could really feel the force of the water. The cool stream washed over her skin, immersing her in nature's gift. After about half an hour of soaking, perhaps because her body felt an unprecedented comfort, she headed back and changed into clean clothes. Then she prepared to begin her picnic journey. After all this wasn't Xiang's first time camping, she was already skilled with the equipment. It was just her cooking skills that were still a bit lacking. So to avoid spoiling the mood, she decided to make some simple spiral pasta. Just toss it into boiling water for a while, and it's ready in no time. As time went by, the sky gradually darkened. Out here in the wild, the most important thing was to ensure safety. To better sense the surroundings, she and her dog checked every corner. Fortunately, after the inspection, they didn't find any potential danger. Now they could safely get through the night. So you've managed to come across me at this hour. I thought I was fading into obscurity again. Tonight I won't guess whose foot your left foot is resting on. As always, if you found this, give me a sign. Or drop a few lines of AI comments on the right. Alright, enough chit-chat. Let's jump straight into tonight's bedtime story. What we see is our familiar old friend, a 29-year-old girl from Japan, Xiaomei, fresh off her night shift. She couldn't wait to head to the campsite. Outside, a light drizzle was falling. The sky was thickly blanketed with clouds. Faced with such gloomy weather, she drove cautiously along the road. After a quick maneuver, she finally arrived at her destination. This time, Xiaomei once again walked up the mountain. With limited space inside the car, she always had to recline the driver's seat to make room in the back for storage. Since the car lacked natural light, she had brought along a warm red lamp. Once everything was set, she began to relax and enjoy herself. As the weather grew colder, Xiaomei swapped her double-shot iced coffee for a steaming cup of green tea. The iron kettle held just enough to warm her body. While the kettle slowly heated, she took out the 3-coloured dango she had prepared. She neatly placed the round dumplings on a plate, waiting until the water was hot to enjoy them together. After wolfing down the appetizer, the rain outside was still falling steadily. In this kind of weather, she had no desire to go for a walk, so she continued preparing tonight's dinner. She took out a small wooden steamer. Normally she used an electric pot for fried rice, but today she wanted to try something different. So Xiaomei had already prepared ingredients. The 3-tier steamer allowed her to steam more things at once. On the bottom layer, she placed chicken wings, letting the aroma seep through with the steam. The second layer held a mix of fresh veggies, while the top layer was filled with buns. She tucked a few more greens in the gaps, though the steamer didn't look that big. Its capacity was surprisingly decent, and with the steam, everything cooked evenly. While the food was steaming, she poured herself a wheat beer to start. About 10 minutes later, when Xiaomei opened the steamer, a wave of hot steam drifted up, showing the food was ready to enjoy. From the appearance of the ingredients, the taste doesn't seem bad. And these steamed chicken wings, although not as golden as stir-fried ones, their flavour feels more simple and homely. From the expression on Xiaomei's face, you can clearly sense the tender, sticky texture. With that, today's outdoor camping comes to an end. So you folks are still catching me at this hour. I thought I was about to fade out again. Today, I bet your right foot's resting on top of your left. As always, if I guessed it right, give me a shout. Leave a trace here to show you've been around. All right, that's enough of the intro. Now let's get into tonight's little bedtime story. Here we've got a familiar old friend, a 29-year-old woman from Japan, Xiaomei. After work, she headed out early for a camping trip. Lately, the temperatures dropped to -20, so Xiaomei is dressed much warmer than usual. As always, she chose a bare site, no loot, no running water. Nothing fancy. She's long been used to these conditions. First up, she set up a rain tarp. Those who follow Xiaomei's trips would know she usually sleeps in her car, so a cover is all she needs. Since trying a wing-style tarp last time, she's fallen in love with the look. It's easy to set up, and it really lifts the whole vibe. Even so, the work got her a bit warm, so she shrugged off her coat to cool down. With all the prep basically done, next came the part she was keen to show off. Turns out, Xiaomei had just bought a new table and chairs. She couldn't resist showing them off. The set's in classic retro colours. To assemble, just unfold the frame pieces, slot in the boards across the gaps, and there you've got yourself a 3-metre-long table. Plenty of space for Xiaomei's gear. Paired with the free extendable chairs, she was living in pure comfort. On a cold day like this, a chilled wheat juice on the side, that's like stepping into a whole new world. Next, she gathered some firewood. It'd be needed later to keep warm. In her earlier camping days, she'd even think about how to strike the wood just right. But now no fancy moves were needed. She quickly split the logs into slim sticks. With a match, she lit them up easily, and it was finally time for the much-awaited meal. In front of her was rice her mum had given her. It tasted different to the stuff from the shops, because it carried the warmth of her mum's love. She then removed a few boards from the table's centre, making the perfect space to slot in the gas stove. To make camping more enjoyable, Xiaomei had practically bought all the gear she could. As a proper boxer by trade, she was extra fussy about ingredients. First, she diced onions into even chunks, then pulled out some quality chicken she'd bought on sale. Here's the rice, steamed till each grain was glossy and clear. Worth mentioning, after being influenced by her Chinese fans, Xiaomei had started using a wok. After the first go, she was hooked on it. She even took the time to show everyone in her videos how to use it properly. Before long, the fragrant dish was ready. At last, she could enjoy her first meal in the wild. When you're lying in bed and can't fall asleep, and you just happen to stumble across this video, it means, mate, you're in luck tonight. This is the late night cure for insomnia. Watch till the end, and you'll drift into a sweet sleep. As always, if you found this, make some noise. Alright then, let's dive into tonight's bedtime story. In the distance comes our old friend, Ruru, a sweet girl from eastern Guangdong. Today, fully geared up, she's back in the cornfields, ready to go. To make her cart carry more gear, Ruru even upgraded it with 4 sturdy tyres. After trekking 330 metres, she finally reached the windmill in the centre. The place was beautiful, birds chirping, flowers in bloom all around. So she decided to pitch her tent there. First off, she pulled out a heap of gear from her cart. This time she'd brought along no small amount. Facing a level 3 wind, she set about quickly. With the experience of past camping trips, Ruru's pitching skills had become second nature, even though she still moved a little slowly. Compared to her clumsy first time, she'd clearly come a long way. After half an hour of effort, the shaky tent finally took shape. But the soil here wasn't great for hammering in pegs. So to keep it secure, she weighed it down with rocks. Next, she pulled all the tent flaps up. What was once a bare tent now had side panels, making it feel much more like a proper campsite. She then set up her newly bought table and chairs. And just from the soft drinks on the table, you could tell this wasn't ordinary. When it comes to ceremony, Ruru's always at the top. And her love for black coffee is unmatched. Wherever she goes, she always carries a mocha pot. Unlike most, she drinks her yogurt first, like a boost of energy before the feast. Even with the strong winds raging and the sky turning dark, nothing could dampen Ruru's picnic mood. Ruru's cooking skills had clearly improved compared to past trips. You could tell how tasty it was just from the look of the food. The sausages had fried into flour-like shapes, while beef and potatoes sizzled away in the pan. In weather like this, a pure meat feast was pure luxury. It was the pinnacle of outdoor dining. After wolfing it all down, the sky had already started to darken. A chilled soft drink at that moment was the perfect way to wrap up the picnic. But October nights were bitterly cold, so to avoid catching a chill, she turned in early to the tent. When you're lying in bed and can't get to sleep, and you happen to stumble across this video, it means you've struck gold tonight. And just for fun, right now, your left foot's probably resting on your right shoulder, and your phone battery is sitting at about 70%. If I nailed it, give me a sign. If not, just pretend I never said it. Alright, enough small talk. Let's dive straight into tonight's bedtime story. In the face of a raging blizzard, our main character, Nana, drove up to the campsite, but the heavy snow made the car stall. The rear wheels just spun in place. With no other choice, she asked locals for help to carry her camping gear. From her kit, it was clear she'd planned everything carefully. After all this time, she chose to take on the snow-capped mountains, where the winds are far harsher than the plains. So for safety, her first step was pitching her tent. Even on calm, sunny days, that's no small task. And now, under a blizzard's assault, it was tougher than ever. In an instant, her gear was buried in snow. Thankfully, her dozens of camping trips worth of experience kept things from spiraling out of control. No nasty surprises this time. Knowing the night would bring even fiercer winds, she reinforced the tent first thing to help it withstand some of the impact. She then left the tent flaps open for now, keeping airflow while still enjoying the snowy view. Those who follow Nana's trips know she always brings loads of gear. This time, she'd even swapped to an oversized tent, big enough to set up a one-bedroom style layout. Day's work. The tent was gradually set up, brimming with gear. A cozy, homely vibe. All right there to see. Time slipped by without her noticing. Outside, the blizzard grew wilder in the night. After gathering her thoughts, she began preparing tonight's picnic meal. In the past, we've mentioned Nana's passion for cooking, and especially now in such extreme weather. There was no way she'd just make do. But at the moment, she was on a cutting plan, so her food choices leaned towards leaner options. At this moment, even as the snow raged outside in the night, inside the tent it felt solid as stone, not a single violent shake. Camping with that sense of safety, that's when you're truly enjoying yourself. After finishing her appetizer, Nana felt a bit bored, so she sprawled on the sofa with her dog. Every camping trip, she always wondered what to do to pass the time. In the past, she could only rely on TV, but now the sound of snow thudding down outside was the sweetest background music. And so she cuddled up with her dog for half an hour. Maybe she'd eaten too quickly earlier, because hunger crept her back before dawn. Realizing it wasn't too late, she decided to whip up a midnight snack. And of course it was her own special creation. Before setting off, she'd prepped some noodles, the perfect way to kill some time, paired with a packet of rich soybean paste. It was spot on for the night. What's a midnight snack without a drink? At first, she thought of just grabbing a bottle of wheat juice. But then on a whim, she decided to mix up a special drink herself. After all, when it comes to enjoying life, Nana's an expert. So you've managed to catch me at this hour. I thought I was about to fade away again. Today, I bet your left foot's resting on your right one. If I guessed it right, give me a sign. Leave a little trace here to show you've been by. Alright, enough rambling. Let's dive straight into tonight's bedtime story. Here we've got Xiao Mei, a girl from Japan. She lives by the idea of camping for the experience itself. Last night after work, she once again slept in her car. It had already become part of her routine. But the fatigue from the night shift still lingered in her body. Every time it's a hot coffee that wakes up her taste buds, the only way to keep her energy up for the whole day. The air was filled with the damp scent after rain. Raindrops still clung to the car windows. Luckily, Xiao Mei had pitched her tent the night before, but with the sudden drop in temperature, the chill quickly set in. To get through her time in the forest, a fire was absolutely essential, and being in the wild, there was no shortage of fuel. Even without handy tools at the moment, she could still use nearby stumps to trim and prep wood. Originally, she planned to dig a fire pit for warmth, but with wet ground and limited tools, she switched to using an iron rack instead, which also reduced nearby hazards. Just then, a low rumble of thunder echoed in the sky. To avoid sudden weather changes, messing up the trip, she headed back to the car to make breakfast. Though her cooking skills sometimes made people nervous, she never skipped the sense of ceremony. Fresh from waking up, she chose the simplest option, to toast 3 slices of bread each with a twist. On the first, tomato sauce, topped with grated cheese and chili. The second slice was tuna with melted cheese, a savoury mix too tempting to resist. And the third carried a hint of dessert, with nuts cracked open, then mixed with chocolate and diced banana, finished with a sprinkle of nut crumbs. With that, the 3 slices were ready. But since the pan was small, she could only grill them one by one. Now it was time to see whether her cooking had reached a new level. Gotta say, Xiao Mei's cooking had definitely improved through her outdoor practice. Those once bizarre-looking dishes finally had a touch of refinement you could actually eat. Maybe it was her long camping experience. Her control of heat had become more precise. All in all, this breakfast at least looked like a success. As usual, she brewed herself a strong espresso first. And that final nut chocolate banana toast, slightly crisped from baking a bit too long, had a charred crunch to the crust. It went down best paired with coffee. Hearing Xiao Mei's crunchy bites, you just knew it couldn't taste bad. It was the perfect finish to a simple breakfast. And with that, today's camping trip came to an official close. So you've managed to catch me at this hour. I thought I was about to fade away again. Today, I bet your left foot's resting on your right one, and your phone battery's sitting around 70%. If I got it right, give me a sign. If not, just pretend I never said it. All right, enough rambling. Let's dive straight into tonight's bedtime story. In front of us is Nana, a girl from Korea. She lives by the motto, good weather's meant for camping. And today she's back at it again. Those who love camping in the rain know that feeling well. The drizzle falling on your skin feels unbeatable, but once it pours down heavy, you're left a drenched mess. So before the downpour came crashing down, Nana's first task was pitching her tent. This time she chose a dedicated camping park. Safety wasn't an issue at all. The only thing that mattered was setting up her own little ritual space. After all, Nana's got the skills to pull it off. She not only builds quickly, but with ease and precision. Since the tent hadn't been used in a while, she took the chance to air it out before the storm hit. But even with drizzle falling from the sky, the humid air still lingered. Only after shedding some layers could she really get to work. Raindrops splashed mud into the tent, so before moving her gear in, she had to clean up first. In no time, a one-bedroom layout stood right before her. Though Nana was experienced, she was still just a girl, and the work left her a little drained. So instead, she lay on the bed with her dog to rest and recover. Once her strength returned, Nana began making her first appetizer of the day. She always lived by the rule meat over veg, and on a muggy, rainy day like this, nothing beat a pot of silky Odin. She'd prepped the ingredients well before setting out, so every bite was packed with rich broth. And of course, a chilled wheat juice was the perfect match. With the appetizer finished, the rain outside had already eased. Only a few branches clung to the roof. And in summer, the night fell quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was dark, with little entertainment outdoors. Nana always found herself wanting another bite after dinner. This time, a sudden thought steamed egg custard. She cracked 3 eggs into a bowl, poured in spring water she'd brought along. To make it richer in flavour, she added onion, ginger, and garlic. The mixture slowly set, steaming into a silky texture. She even paired it with some side dishes. When it came to food, she always knew how to enjoy herself. After wolfing down the second meal, the weather suddenly turned. The storm roared back in. Raindrops hammered on the tent top, gathering into crystal clear beads. Strangely, weather like this made the camping vibe even stronger. She lounged inside binging a show, snacking now and then, savouring the cosy peace of a rainy night. Pure comfort all to herself. When you're lying in bed unable to sleep, why not scroll through an episode of relaxing camping? I guarantee you'll be out cold till morning. And just for fun, I bet your left foot's resting on your right shoulder now. If I got it right, give me a shout. If not, just forget I said anything. Alright, enough chat. Let's dive into tonight's bedtime story. Here we've got Lena, who loves seeking moments in the wild, always roaming from place to place. She set out once again on a new journey. This time, she returned to the house, where she'd stayed during her first camp. The once run-down place, after her touch of renovation, had become neat and orderly. Inside, the layout was still familiar, almost as if nothing had changed. But after half a year, the floor had gathered layers of dust, so she decided to give it a good clean. Perhaps after all those seasons passing, the corners of the flooring had begun to show clear signs of rot. Thankfully, Lena had kept spare timber earlier on, a bit of cutting, and it was ready to use. For Lena, always on the move, building and repairing had long become second nature. She could handle it all with ease. With all the gear neatly set in place, night quietly settled in, only the light shining from inside the tent stood out. But on the mountaintop, icy winds strike without warning, sending powerful gusts that knocked items from the shelves inside the tent. After a full day's effort, it was finally time for dinner. For Nana, who can't go without meat. Every meal must have meat as its heart and soul. And tonight, against the snowy backdrop, she decided to make a steaming bowl of jajang noodles. The key to jajangmyeon lies in the sauce, and the choice of ingredients defines the dish's true flavour. She first chopped onions and scallions for garnish, then cut the pork into small, even cubes. That way, they'd cook evenly when fried, keeping the meat tender and soaking up the sauce. As the oil in the pan heated up, the meat slowly changed colour. But the charm of the wilderness lies in its unpredictability. Just as Nana stepped out to check the wind ropes, a sudden gust toppled the tripod, sending the pan and its contents spilling. Food scattered everywhere. But by the 3-second rule, as long as you pick it up quickly, it's still fine. And in conditions like this, wasting food is simply unthinkable. With a quick clean, she tossed the meat back into the pan. Then came the rich prepared sauce, turning the pale mix into something deep and hearty. Finally, the boiled noodles were stirred through the sauce, and a fragrant bowl of jajangmyeon was at last ready to serve. As Nai Nai wolfed down the bowl of jajang noodles, he finally loosened up a little after such a hectic day. The warmth inside stood in sharp contrast to the howling wind outside. He curled up with his dog for warmth, snacking on treats, while getting lost in the mood of the show he was watching. Just then, the tent suddenly started to shake violently. He looked out through the window. Snow was raging. Luckily, the stakes he'd hammered in earlier were more than enough to keep the tent firmly rooted against the wind and snow. Even so, he decided to turn off the light and lie down early, just in case the wind picked up again in the middle of the night. So you guys are still up and managed to catch me at this hour, huh? I thought I was about to fade into obscurity again. Let me guess your right foot's resting on your left one right now. If I guessed wrong, well, so be it. You know the drill. If you see this, drop a quick hey, or leave a few cheeky comments on the right. All right. Enough chatter. Let's jump straight into tonight's bedtime story. Before us stands Lena, who loves seeking adventure in the wild. She's a wanderer through and through, always on the move. This time, she's ventured into the famous ice canyon. Here the cold is relentless. The river flows with biting chill. Every step feels like walking on thin ice. After a long search, she finally discovers a dwelling. Its walls are all built from stacked rocks. Stepping inside, she realizes it's fully equipped. But of course it's made entirely of stone. Even the eaves drip with fine drops of water. Still, in this deserted canyon, finding such a place is already a miracle. With no other choice, Lena decides to stay the night. But to get through safely, those fragile stone walls still need a bit of repair. Luckily, plenty of stones lie buried in the nearby river. Rocks. All she needs is to dig up some moist soil and mix it with spring water from Mount Changbai. That'll make a thick, sticky, natural clay. She then spreads the clay evenly into the gaps between the stones. At least, tonight, she won't have to worry about the cold wind blowing in from all sides. After filling in the gaps, the entire wall was sealed tight and solid. Even so, in the frozen canyon, night always falls much earlier than on the plains. So before darkness completely set in, she had to quickly light the fireplace to keep warm. Her eyes locked onto a withered tree. Though it was long buried under snow, it would still work perfectly as kindling. Soon enough, the fire in the fireplace roared to life. But in the freezing 40-degree sea cold, a single fire wasn't nearly enough to stay warm. Without eating something to refuel, her body heat would soon fade away. So she decided to build a small cabinet to store supplies. Fortunately, some old wooden scraps lay in the corner. They were all odd shapes, but after a few cuts, she managed to turn them into a handy little shelf. After finally finishing the cabinet, she started preparing dinner. Those who often watch Lena's camping videos know she's got some serious cooking skills. Compared to simply enjoying the camp itself, she seems far more enchanted by the joy of outdoor cooking. And the food she makes always looks absolutely mouth-watering. While she was enjoying her meal, a sudden chill swept through the room. Looking up, she realized the window under the eaves wasn't sealed. Fortunately, the well-traveled Lena was well prepared for such things. In no time, she'd crafted a makeshift curtain. Sure enough, out here, you can't survive without some skills. Once she covered the window, drowsiness began to creep in. She soon lay down and drifted off to sleep. When you're lying in bed and can't fall asleep, why not watch a relaxing episode of snow camping? I guarantee you'll be out cold by the end of it. Alright, let me guess. Your left foot is probably resting on your right shoulder right now, and your phone battery's sitting around 70%. If I guessed right, give me a shout. If not, pretend I never said that. Alright, enough small talk. Let's get straight into tonight's bedtime story. Here we meet a new friend from our camping series, Yaya, a girl from the Kimchi channel. Today, she's driven into the snowy forest. Snow still clings to the branches above, and as a light breeze drifts through, flakes start gently falling like a dream. Before pitching the tent, she clears a bit of open ground. Luckily, she doesn't need much space. Just a neat square patch will do. Fans of Kimchi Channel's camping videos know this well. They really value a sense of spaciousness in their tents. A one-bedroom layout has basically become standard. And Yaya, of course, is no exception. To better enjoy the outdoor scenery, she's left wide, transparent windows on both sides. As for gear selection, her motto is simple. You might not need it now, but you should always have it. To embrace the cozy winter camping vibe, she's even brought along a wooden fireplace, so she can fully enjoy the warmth of real flames at night. By the time everything's set up, the sky has already turned dark. Once everything was set up, she finally realized how hungry she was. Thankfully, she'd already prepared plenty of cooking gear. In the biting chill of winter, it's impossible to resist the call of good food. Tonight, she's cooking a classic Korean dish, kimchi-style sausage. She starts by placing sticky rice sausages into the pan, slowly frying them over low heat until they turn golden brown. As she flips the sausages, her gaze drifts outside the tent. Suddenly, she lets out a soft gasp. She rushes to the entrance, lifts the curtain, and sees snowflakes gently drifting through the air. But unlike earlier in the day, the snowfall had grown heavier and faster. For someone used to dry climates, a sight like this was almost magical. She held her breath, reaching out as a flake landed softly on her palm. Then she returned to the fire, eager to keep cooking. As a true Korean, her love for kimchi-flavored dishes runs deep. In the pot before her, bright red ingredients bubble away, filling the air with a mouth-watering aroma. After finishing dinner, the snow outside the tent kept falling without pause. Inside the tent, Yaya curled up tightly with her monkey companion. But as snow continued to pile up on the roof, the weight grew heavier and heavier. To stop the tent from collapsing, Yaya had to shake it every now and then, knocking off the snow that had built up on top. Fortunately, as time went on, the snowfall eased. The tent stood firm once more, no longer in danger of being buried. Girl and dog nestled by the fireplace, basking in the soft dancing warmth of the flames. Didn't expect you'd still be scrolling at this hour. I thought I'd already gone completely cold. Today, I'm guessing your left foot's resting on your right one, and your phone battery is probably sitting around 70%. If I guessed right, make a little noise in the comments. If I'm wrong, just pretend I never said it all right. All right, enough talking. Let's dive straight into tonight's bedtime story. Before us is Nai, a girl from Korea, who's truly mastered the art of feeling at home anywhere she goes. This time, she's camping deep in a forest full of birdsong and flowers. Unlike her usual snowstorm adventures, today's camping trip is blissfully free from natural disasters. For once, looking at her trunk packed tight with gear, you can tell that even on a calm sunny day, she still sticks to her usual all-out camping style. Luckily, she's got the entire area to herself, a wide-open campsite all hers to enjoy. It's mid-April now, and with summer heat just around the corner, Nai started by setting up a spacious two-room tent layout. The whole process went surprisingly smoothly. Anyone who doesn't camp much knows the heart of camping is about fully soaking in nature's moments for a more immersive experience. As always, she modified her tent with transparent windows on all sides. That way she can feel the change of light at any time. As mentioned earlier, Nai's going for a two-room layout. To handle the summer mosquito problem, she swapped the rainforests for breathable mesh panels. This also expanded the living room space in the center of the tent. With that, the two-room setup was complete. Then after laying down a blue blanket on the floor, it was time to start sorting out the gear. Anyone who's followed Nai's camping videos knows, when it comes to gear, no one's better equipped than her. She's got every possible tool, even if half of them never get used. She sticks firmly to her motto, better to have it and not need it, than need it and not have it. So every trip feels like she's moving house. You can never quite guess what she's planning next. After 3 full hours of setting up, her ordinary tent had completely transformed. In the past, she only used a floor heater during winter, but this time, she built one purely for cooking. Of course, the real highlight wasn't the heater, but the dining setup she'd crafted right in the center. As the sun slowly dipped behind the trees, it signaled the best part of the day, dinner time. To match the perfect evening meal, she'd already prepped a spicy hot pot. The moment the pot hit the fire, the rich aroma filled the whole tent. But if you thought that was all for tonight, you clearly don't know Nai well enough. That was just her appetizer. The real goal was to pair it with her favorite wheat juice, a little reward for all the effort she put in today. After finishing the quick appetizer, the temperature outside started to drop sharply. Just as Nai was about to turn on the heater, a light rain suddenly began to fall outside the tent. Instead of braving the rain, she snuggled inside the tent with her dog. At first, she thought it'd just be a passing drizzle, but the rain only got heavier, making it hard to stay calm. Still, the quiet staring didn't last long. Maybe she'd eaten too quickly earlier, because before long, her stomach started rumbling again. Rather than sit around doing nothing, she decided to cook. It's kind of her tradition, whenever bad weather hits. She pulled out a pre-made pizza, placed it on an iron plate and let it bake slowly. After about an hour, the smell began to fill the tent. The look of it, honestly, could have passed for something from India, if it weren't for Nai herself. You might have thought it was made by an Indian chef. Finally, with a bottle of chilled wheat juice in hand, she wrapped up another long, hard day. A peaceful end to a day well spent. When you're tossing and turning in bed, unable to sleep, why not watch a relaxing outdoor camping video? I promise you'll sleep like a baby once it's over. By the way, take a guess. Your left foot's probably crossed over your right. If I got it right, make a sound? If not, just pretend I never said it. All right, enough chit-chat. Let's jump straight into tonight's bedtime story. Here we've got Nana from Kimchi Park. She firmly believes good weather means staying home. So today, she's been rewarded with a proper downpour. As the seasons shift, the cherry blossoms are in full bloom. But Nana doesn't have time to enjoy them now, even though the rain's not too heavy yet. Staying out in it too long can easily get you sick. So the first thing she does is set up her tent. Then she finds a nice quiet corner and starts camping right there. Out here, there are no one-room restrictions, so she can set up wherever she pleases. Knowing the rain won't stop anytime soon, she goes for a tent that weighs a solid 50 kilos. It might look like a hassle to set up, but for a seasoned camper like Nana, it's child's play. In no time, the tent slowly expands through thermal stretch and chill. Looking at her one-bedroom setup, she realizes why waste such precious space and time. So she adds another bedroom at the back. Compared to the front one, the new tent's even bigger. Skillfully, she zips the two together, connecting them like a quirky sausage roll one inside another. Inside, as expected, it's super spacious. Of course, she swaps in transparent windows to enjoy the view. When it comes to comfort and setup finesse, Nana's definitely the queen of the wild. Just then, the rain pours down in sheets. Even with her raincoat on, she ends up soaked, and the tent floor's already wet through. Luckily, there's usually a thick wool blanket under the floor. Now it's time for Nana's moving in experience. Compared to those who go camping empty-handed, bringing only the basics and some food, Grandma, who's always on the move, believes it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So every trip of hers looks like a full relocation. Even though some things never get used, she still fills every inch of space. After half an hour of setting up, she finally finishes just before sunset. Next up, the long-awaited picnic time. To match today's rainy mood, she's prepared 2 signature marinated crab dishes. One soy marinated with wheat liquor, infusing the crab meat with a mellow malt aroma, and the other's kimchi-style spicy crab, a perfect mix of tangy and hot flavors. As always, her food creativity shines. No fancy prep needed. Just pair it with freshly steamed rice and dig in. Marinated crab with steaming rice, plus a glass of chilled malt juice. That's pure luxury for a camping trip. Meanwhile, the rain keeps pouring relentlessly, raindrops tapping rhythmically on the tent roof. With little to do outdoors, Nana curls up inside the tent, locking eyes with her dog. But since it's not quite summer yet, the night still carries a chill. To get a good night's sleep, she decides to set up a small fireplace. Luckily, it's easy to assemble. Just connect the chimney sections together. She's even brought the firewood from home in advance. So when camping, carrying extra gear is definitely worth it. As the fire crackles to life, she can finally settle in for a peaceful sleep.